Doctor's handwriting.
Politicians.
Black humour.
You get home at the end of the day and you think, what have I done today?
People sticking things in odd places.
I think the strange thing I saw was a bust of Mozart.
The guy comes in, bold as brass, dressed completely in black leather, sits in the waiting room.
An upside down cognac bottle, you know, the one that's kind of like a globe, and that was in somebody's rectum.
How big is that?
Pretty big.
But all credit to him, you know, once we got it out, it's like, you can keep that.
When patients get a little bit aroused.
Have you had that, really?
I kind of recognised him. We were trying to work out where we knew each other from, and he kept asking. So he came over and was like asking questions. He was like, "Oh, where are you from?" And we were both from London. Where do you work? And I told him the hospital I work in, and like his face went white. And then I realised, it finally clicked, that I'd seen him in my sexual health clinic like a couple of weeks before.
That bleep going off that one more time.
Oh, the sound of the bleep. Yeah.
It just gets louder and louder. The more tired you get, the louder it gets, and then it just happens
shudder,
3 or 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
You know.
My wife worked until 2 o'clock in the morning the day before our wedding, because she couldn't get it off. You know?
Having to swap with your colleagues, so you end up working 4 weekends in a row.
Yeah.
You know, 5 long days, and something ridiculous after. You know, just to go to that one concert. And I'm sure you've had the 12 o'clock wake-ups.
Yeah.
The midnight. Damn, I haven't done.
And the nurses will be like, "Oh, doctor, you know, this patient's not passed urine for 10 hours. You know, hold on.
Neither have I.
I don't think I have either.
And I remember going home on the tube after a night shift and just not being able to breathe.
We used to have 10 minutes of YouTube time where we just used to watch cat videos.
That's beautiful. 10 minutes of cat time, that should be like kind of in our
I
contract.
think it really works. I think it really works. I'm sorry that the NHS pays for this, but you don't have to pay for my therapy because I get cat therapy.
Making loads of money.
I mean, yeah, we make loads. So much money.
Like with anything, you get like 2% at the top who earns quite a lot, but like, you know, after all the hours and the training and the expenses, you know, you earn like less than 14, 15 quid an hour.
On the plus, though, with the money, you don't get time to spend it. So it's quite easy to save.
Doctors leaving the NHS.
That is happening.
Australia, New Zealand,
exactly.
America.
Yeah, anywhere.
Anywhere. Basically, anywhere.
Yeah.
You hear of your friends who've kind of moved to Australia to work as doctors, and they've got put up in houses on beaches, they're earning twice as much as you, and they get respected.
Yeah.
They get respected by the country and by the government.
Different politicians and different governments just like bowl in and do their own idea, but they don't ask anybody.
Yeah.
It genuinely is one of the hardest things, getting up in the morning and going to work and walking past a newspaper stand and wondering how many headlines are going to be attacking the NHS.
People who have never worked in a hospital, they have no idea about healthcare, they can't do basic mathematics. These are the people who are responsible for the future of our NHS. That really upsets me.
What's the hardest part of being a doctor?
I mean, besides the hours, the losing social life, the difficulty maintaining relationships, the lack of money for the hours you do, or the additional training you have to do, besides all that,
Yeah, what is hard?
besides all that, it's when things go wrong and you can't help it and there's nothing you can do.
I think one of the toughest things that you can do is when you tell patients that it's definitely not the worst thing you've ever seen, and in your head you're like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
At that night we had to make the decision that actually we couldn't do anything. We called the mum in because we knew the baby wouldn't survive that night. And the mum came, early 20s, and she held her baby. We took away all the wires and we just let the baby sleep in her arms. I cried that night. I think that was one of the most hardest things to ever see.
When you've got a sick child or baby and everything is really hectic and you're doing all these things and then they improve, it's because of you. You're like, it's a pretty amazing feeling.
I mean, I've had a patient recently. She's my most favourite patient ever. She was 100 years old and very, very demented and very confused. And quite often it was very pleasantly confused. She wouldn't talk a lot of sense. She'd just kind of sing and try to pull her night clothes off, you know, the standard stuff.
Having the time of her life.
And exactly. And I remember once I was in her room, I think I was taking her blood or something, and she just recited this entire war poem completely perfectly from memory. And I literally burst into tears. And then after that, she went back to talking gibberish again. And I was like, that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And that is why I'm a doctor.
You know, you get the rush, the palpitations when you're in the middle of this, you know, literally life or death situation, and you're operating, and you're just lost in it. I can't explain it. It's absolutely, yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world, I think. Yeah.